What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Patriot Specialized with a new episode today where you're going to see me hauling this thing from York, Pennsylvania to Fort Hood, Texas. Stick around, a lot to talk about on this one.
Right across these plains and prairies, Rocky Mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, still horses.
What's going on, everybody? Tuesday morning currently in Virginia, somewhere in Virginia on 81. Heading down to Texas. Waiting for the sun to come up. I'm gonna jump out real quick, do a walk around. Got a lot to talk about this load. There's some interesting things about it, some permit stuff, some routing stuff, times are a big one. Interesting things to talk about. The time change is making a big difference. So waiting for this sun to come up. Not quite coming up. You can see it over there. It's starting to lighten up the sky. So Ghost is doing its cool down. I'm gonna walk around, check all my lights, check my tires, make sure everything's good to go, and hopefully by the time I'm done with that, that light will be up enough and we can get rolling. This time of year, it's tight. Talk to you in a little bit. Finished up pre-trip. Ghost just idled down from a cool down process, and I'm thinking I think we got enough light to get rolling, so let's do this. That I wanted to talk about this load that got brought up because of this load that are pretty important. I mentioned them in part of the video where I said we're going to talk about some routing things, some permit issues, and some daylight issues, which, you know, we switched times a couple weeks ago back to off of our daylight savings times, and that affects when you're hauling specialized over dimensional. That affects your travel time quite a bit, and it kind of got me on this one. We're going to see how this goes, and I'm going to explain that here in a minute. But first off, I wanted to talk about the permit issues with this thing. There really wasn't many permit issues. It really was just a pretty straightforward thing. Weighed 62,000 pounds. And it actually ended up, we thought it weighed 62,000 pounds. It actually ended up weighing about 58. So permits were pretty easy to get. What I wanted to talk about was I had one other time when we hauled these loads, we permitted ourselves out of York, Pennsylvania, up 83 to 581 to 81 and down south on 81. That is all highway. I forgot on this one, and this is something you should probably make sure you think about all the time, is I forgot on this one to ask for a specific route. And they ended up giving me across Route 30 for about 40 miles. And man, it was 40 miles of just, 40 miles of hell. It just wasn't a good route. There's a lot of roundabouts, a lot of red lights, right through the center of Gettysburg, which was really cool to see and kind of neat to be going through, but not with this thing on a trailer when there's a bunch of traffic around you. So that's something I wanted to talk about, was make sure you take a look at where you're coming out of. Maybe you don't want, maybe the fastest route or the most direct route maybe isn't the best route. So make sure when you're ordering your permits, keep that in mind. Think about that and ask your permit people to ask for that route. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you won't. Most of the times you will get it though. So that's something I wanted to bring up. Now we're on to the other ones. Right. Thursday. Man, I'm trying to skip myself a couple days here. Tuesday morning, got rolling. You saw me roll out. It was right at daylight. Now the camera doesn't make it look as daylight as it was, but it really was bright enough to run. Ran down a couple hours in Whitville, Virginia right now. Couldn't resist. The Ghost is just dirty. Been dirty since last week, and I just couldn't resist. As you're coming by here, when you're heading southbound, you can see the line, the blue beacon. So I couldn't resist. I saw there was barely any trucks here, so couldn't resist. I'm gonna get her cleaned up. Can't go to Texas. Definitely can't go to military base without having a clean truck. Like, come on now. We just can't do that. So figured while I'm waiting here for these guys to pull me in, they got one truck in front of me right now. They're about to pull me in. I figured I would jump out here and show you the load, cover what I got for securement. So here we go. Don't mind the dirty truck. It'll be clean here in a minute. This is our baby right here. I think they call this an M339 or M399 or M39. I looked at the paperwork. All track unit. Thing weighs 58,000 pounds, they told me. Originally they told me, the agent told me about 62,000. But they told me down there at loading, they scale it, that it's about 58. So that's what I did for securement on this. Got essentially 4 chains back here. Really, I get credit for 2 of them because these X across. And I actually used the tail off of this chain and came up here and hooked and ran another one down. So I had 2 points of contact on the back. Basically, I get credit for 2 chains there. Got our flags just like normal. Flags on the sides. How we doing? Yeah, I think we all need it. All right, so here's what I did on the back. The guy just rolled up behind me and says, I need that. This is what I did for the back here. I put one chain, this chain here goes all the way across through the tie down points, goes all the way to the other side of the trailer. Get full credit for that chain. And I got 2 more chains X'd here. I get credit for those 2. So essentially, I got 5 chains here, holding in 58,000 pounds. We know that's good. Now the catch with this one is very similar to the RX tractor I hauled on earlier this week, picked up last week. Our outriggers, we are almost all the way on the outrigger itself, barely on the trailer at all with the track of this thing. It did really well coming up on there. How you doing? 58 roughly. It did really well coming up on there. I was expecting it to be a little difficult coming up on, needing ramps to get onto the outrigger boards, but it rolled right up on pretty easy, so no big deal there. Obviously got our flags and signs on the back. I'm gonna get those cleaned up here in a minute. Flags are on the other side. Again, you can see this side here. We are just barely on the trailer. Almost all of our weight's on the outriggers. She's handling it pretty well. This thing's going down to Fort Hood, Texas. Should be there tomorrow afternoon, I hope. Pretty easy run so far. Now, I am going to talk about here in a minute when I get back, when I get rolling here. I'm going to talk a little bit about times, because that's a thing. That's a big time thing right now. It may affect me. Talk to y'all in a minute. Covered the that kind of covered what I was thinking about with the permits and the routing, both all in one little discussion there. Now it's on to the travel times. We all know the days are getting shorter anyways. That's just how it works this time of year. Days get shorter, and what has happened is with the travel, with the change from daylight savings time, where we drop back an hour, and everybody says you gain an hour in the morning but you lose an hour at night, and that is not true at all. Like, it is just not. You gain about a half hour, 45 minutes in the morning, but then you lose several hours at night. It's very strange how it happens. You change the time 1 hour, it really should be you get 1 hour in the morning and give 1 hour up at night. But that's not how it works. It's just, it's pretty, prior to the time change, we could get up and run about 6:30-ish, 7 o'clock or so. It was pretty much, it was getting kind of late where we were in the close to the 8 o'clock range before the sunrise times were showing up. But for the most part, we could run till 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes 7, depending on where you were. Now, I'll use today as a perfect example. Sunrise was at 6:49, I believe. It was actual sunrise this morning, and I was in Virginia. Virginia is a sunrise to sunset state. There's no half hour before, there's no half hour after. Now, we'll call it cheated that. I kind of cheated a little bit. I go more on, the point with the traveling during daylight is so the vehicles can see you and you can see vehicles, hazards and whatnot. I kind of believe in a theory that if there's enough light that I can see and the vehicles can see me, then it's an appropriate travel time. And most officers, DOT, State Patrol, they feel the same way, or at least all the ones I have talked to. I have found no one in the law enforcement side that says differently. So that's a very, very good way to think about it. Technically, sunrise this morning was at 6:49, and even though I was gaining an hour by coming into Central Time, sunset today was at 5 o'clock. 4:55 was sunset. Also going to be in Arkansas, which was a state that only allows sunrise to sunset. There's no half hour before, half hour after. So I did come through Tennessee, which Tennessee will let you run at night. They just require some goofy stuff to be done if you want to run at night. So, but the funny part was, my entire day during daylight, I was in the one state that was going to let me run at night. So I kind of burn up all the value of going through Tennessee because I went through it in the daylight. But sunset was at 4:55. Now let's do the math on that. If you are, if you're getting up and running at 6:49, then 12 hours later would be 6:49 p.m., correct? Easy enough, right? So you gain an hour because you're going to Central Time. That puts it at 5:49 p.m. Now, curfew was, we're allowed to run 7 hours. We're allowed to run 11 hours in a day. So 6:49 to 5:49 is your 11-hour window. There it is. Now, curfew was at 4:55. So I can't even run the full, today is a perfect example, I couldn't even run the full 11 hours had I not done the last little bit in Tennessee. I am just across the line. I'm currently in West Memphis, Arkansas. barely across the line, Tennessee. As soon as you cross the line, I hit the first exit and came to the truck stop. So, and it was dark, 100% dark when I got in here. Not a concern that there is no officer or law enforcement of any kind, DOT or anybody, that would stop you from going 4 miles in. They understand this situation here. There's nowhere to stop prior to Memphis, and there's a bunch right after it. So it wasn't a concern. I knew I could get here. I knew I couldn't go any further than here, but I knew I could get here. So I came here. Technically, I wasn't able to run my logbook out all day today. So that is what I was talking about with the times affecting. Tomorrow it will affect me in the morning. See, and this is, again, I talked to my customer today. They said that they stopped receiving at 2:30. They shut the doors at 2:30 is what they said. I'm hoping they're going to have some leniency in there, and they'll get me. I should be there. If everything goes absolutely perfect right now, I will get there at 2:30. If I was able to leave at 5:30, but I'm not, because of daylight, because of the curfew. So I'm actually not going to. Curfew is sunrise is at 6:35. I'm really hoping that the same thing happened this morning will happen again tomorrow morning, and we'll have a nice clear morning, not too much cloud cover, and that sun will come up and it'll brighten everything up, and I'll be able to run a little bit early. But those are the things that this really affects you, and you got to pay attention. This is where the travel at night states really come in handy. You try to time yourself to get into those travel at night states when you're running into these curfew situations like this. So it's a struggle. And I believe December 21st is the shortest day of the year, and then we're going to start getting longer again. And by the middle of January or so, we should be back into a time frame where we're going to run our logbook out without running out of daylight. But for the next month and a half, we're going to be struggling with this all the time. And this is the time frame where you need to pay attention to which states will let you run at night, which states won't, and can I get into those and utilize that ability, utilize that service that they provide, that allowance in the law to benefit you in your travel. So because you were going to lose an hour a day on drive time if you don't, and God forbid you have to load or unload or something in the middle of the day. That's going to make it 100 times worse, because as soon as you got to do something in the middle of the day, such as what I'm doing, now tomorrow it's not going to affect me, providing I get empty. I'll be able to run down to my load. I have a reload at a Seguin, Texas, going back to West Virginia. I'll be able to run down close to my reload. I'll be able to load it first thing Thursday morning, providing I get empty tomorrow. That load is legal, so that doesn't. There's no curfew that affects a legal load, so it will not affect me tomorrow. Other than in the morning, it's going to affect me. But other than that, it's not going to affect me tomorrow. So, however, if I was picking up another oversized load or overdimensional, then it absolutely would affect me. The time that I spend at, remember what I said, the 6:49 to 5:49. That's 11-hour window. The time I spend loading and unloading is eating right into my drive time. There's nothing I can do about it. Even though my logbook says that it's not eating into my drive time, unfortunately, daylight, the universe, says something completely different. So these are the things I wanted to talk about. I thought was pretty important with this load. It was neat that it got brought up on this load, and I hope you enjoy this load. This is a fantastic, great thing to haul. I very much enjoy hauling military, especially this kind of stuff. This is always a crowd pleaser. Again, I think I've been on, God, man, I don't know how many, a countless amount of Facebook pages right now. I'm watching my mirror as people almost wrecking to the side of it because they're videotaping or taking pictures while they're driving by it. Everywhere I stop, somebody says something. You'll see it in. Now, coming up right here in the video, this was kind of interesting. Again, this goes into these things are always a crowd pleaser. This is part of it is the crowd pleasing side of it. The attention that these kind of loads get, but the other part of it is I kind of wanted you guys to see this because it just brought to light something that I've preached for a long time, that DOT and Waymasters and whatnot, when they're at a scale, they're not necessarily there to to be negative, be all the time be negative. I had one of my episodes where I recorded my entire DOT inspection, and it was a very positive thing. And this today was kind of interesting too. So I got lucky. I happened to hit the record button as I was coming down the ramp. I thought maybe I might get pulled in and be a good opportunity to film it, but it turns out that I just got a little bit of comic relief on that filming too. So I was coming down this ramp, and as soon as I pulled on the scale, the DOT inspector inside comes on the speaker and says something pretty funny. So
took that to my house, I could get my neighbor to mow their dang yard. So you be safe. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, so I didn't talk when I was doing my little walk around there talking about my securement and whatnot. I didn't talk. I did say there was 5 chains, and I know I'm going to get comments on this. I did say 5 chains, and you guys are going to say, but Brett, you only really get credit for 4 of those, because the one goes across and the 2 are X'd in the back, and those 2 that are X'd in the back, they go through the instead of hooking on themselves, I went through the tie down points and back down to the trailer. So it goes from one side of the trailer through the tie down point to the other side, and then the same on this side. So they do cross all the way across. So those 3 chains, the one all the way across and the 2X, I actually get full credit for all 3 of those. So I know you guys are going to make, you guys are smart enough, and you guys paid enough attention during my videos that I know, and you guys love what I have found is you guys love proving me wrong. So I figured I'd head myself off where I don't have to answer that question 10,000 times in the comments. So, but that being said, I didn't talk about placement. As you can see on the pictures and the video, I set this thing all the way to the back. Again, we all know why I do that. My trailer, the setup, it just loves things to be in the back. Getting that weight to transfer to the trailer, it's very difficult with my 5th wheel placement, so I got to shove things all the way to the back of my trailer in order to get the weight to transfer to the trailer. And it did perfectly on this one. This couldn't be any better. You saw it. It was kind of flashing. I'm not 100% sure how well you'll see it, but there's a scale. On the scale, there is it's electronic, and it shows what my weights are, and if it's not flashing through there, you'll be able to see it. If it is, then I will capture it and put it up here and post it so you can see the weights on this thing. But what I ended up with was 41 and some change, or 38 and some change on my drive tires, and 50,000 on the trailer. That is dang near perfect for this setup, for what you should be doing. You should be running light on a tandem, heavy on a tri, and that's what I did on this load. So that is why I pushed it all the way to the back. Again, that's just the way this trailer likes it. The trailer likes it that way, and I kind of like it that way too. It rides a lot better when you're shoving the weight to the back. Everything rides a little bit smoother. You don't get the crap beat out of you the whole time. So